right, what's up, everybody? Welcome to Eddy Live Show. I'm here with Elias. How you doing, brother?
I am good.
I'm so happy that you made it, man. I'm excited. I have so many questions for you, man.
Well, shoot, let's go
Let's go. First question is always, do you like spicy food?
I am not a huge spicy food guy.
Okay.
I'll get in it, but
Okay.
Being a Swede, I'm more of a...
The Swedes don't eat much spice. Is that what you're saying, or?
Yeah, maybe now more now than when I was
now.
a kid.
Okay.
I've been going to Thailand for the last 20 years. The Swedes do.
Sure, the Swedes. Okay.
Yeah.
Jeez, I want to go to Thailand. Yeah.
Swedish have 10 million people, and on a normal year, not this year, but on a normal year, 500,000 of them go to Thailand.
Really?
Yeah.
Why Thailand? That's
I guess
funny,
it's it's an affordable place to go for sun and entertainment, I guess.
Yeah.
But guess how many Swedes come to Taiwan every year?
Oh man. Gee, I don't know that many Swedes here,
Right.
so I'm guessing not a very big number.
Well, I'm not talking about people
Okay,
like
yeah,
you who live
sure,
here. I'm
sure,
talking about tourists. So 500,000 go to Thailand.
Okay.
5,000 come to Taiwan.
5,000. Okay. Wow.
So it's been on my mind a lot in the last 2 weeks. A friend of mine brought up a question about what we could do to bring more foreign tourists to Taiwan, right?
Okay,
And
sure.
it just irks me. 500,000 Swedes go to Thailand, and why can't we get more of them here?
That's part of what we're trying to do here. We were trying to open eyes up, just to say Thailand's nice. But Taiwan's a great place, man. It's a beautiful place. I've been here for 18 years.
Right.
How about yourself?
20 and a half.
Oh, you got me beat. Nice.
Yeah,
okay.
yeah.
And it's I feel more at home here, man, than when I go back home. Actually, it's
Right.
kind of how about yourself? Yeah, I guess 20 years, man.
Well, actually, it's been longer than that. I left Sweden in '94 and went to the States. So I spent 5.5 years in Tennessee.
Okay.
Right.
Okay. What do they got in Tennessee? Barbecue or?
Yeah.
That's a big barbecue place, I think. No.
It was a lot of good food.
Yeah.
I gained a lot.
Well, that's what happens. It's funny when I go back home. Mom is cooking, and you have we have a lot of Europeans, we got a lot of Portuguese and stuff. So we get the Portuguese desserts, and it's a small town, so everybody knows you're coming back. And it's just it's like 10 kilos in a month every time I go back. And then I come back here, and I'm like, people are like, oh my God, what happened to you? And I'm like, yeah, well, you go back, and I'm like, this time I'm gonna watch it. This time I'm gonna exercise, and then that lasts about a week, and you're like, all right, just give it to me.
Yeah.
Well, let's grab the first wing, man. So basically,
Okay.
the first one is it's just a simple buffalo wing.
Just grab this?
Just grab that. Yeah,
All right.
exactly. So we'll start from here to here, and there's
Okay.
2 rounds, and
Okay.
we start from this one, man. Enjoy.
Well, cheers.
Nice. All right, let's do it. Just a basic buffalo, right, to start.
Yep.
Good. All right.
This is good.
So you seem to be almost like the jack of all, author, entrepreneur. So if you have to describe yourself, how would you describe yourself if someone says, hey, introduce yourself?
Oh, definitely an entrepreneur.
Entrepreneur, okay.
Yeah.
Beautiful, I love it.
I tried to start my first business when I was 15 years old.
Really? Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. So it was in the blood at a young age, yeah?
Yeah, for whatever reason.
Okay.
Back when I was before then, as a really young kid, right? Dungeons and Dragons, those kind of role playing games. Yeah, so we had a similar something like that as a 12-year-old, where there's mutants, and it's the post-apocalyptic world and whatever.
Sure.
But you could buy yourself a shipping company in that world, right? And I got stuck doing that.
Really?
I was more interested in transporting stuff than I was of fighting the.
That's amazing.
Yeah. Anyway, so I tried to start the first company at the age of 15.
Okay.
And it didn't go super well because being 15 and trying to hire people
yes.
and
okay.
Whatever. It was
hard.
Well,
running a business at 15, it's fine.
Well, try.
Yeah, of course.
It wasn't working out well.
Okay.
Then I tried again when I was 18. I tried to actually purchase a commercial radio license. I mean, actually, getting myself a frequency on the FM band.
So you started. Cheers, man. Hey, thank you for coming, man. I've been wanting to get you on for a long time.
Cheers.
Thank you. I'm excited about this one.
Yeah, and then I went to the States, right, at the age of 20.
Okay, and what brought you? Would you went there for school, or you just like, I want to get out of Sweden? Or?
Well, so I had my own radio show in Sweden from age of 14 to 18, 19, when I had to do my military service, and I knew I wanted to actually do more radio. Okay, so I wanted to educate myself in radio, and I had a friend of mine who went to school in the U.S. and the school that he went to had a good radio program.
Okay, awesome.
So that's how I ended up in the U.S. and in a rural part of Tennessee of all places.
How did it differ where you're from in Sweden and Tennessee?
Well, let's just say it was a bigger culture shock going there than coming to Taiwan.
Oh, I bet. Okay, sure.
I mean,
so in Sweden, where are you from? A big city?
No, not very big.
Okay. In Europe, everything's really tight and kind of connected and stuff, right? Or
yes, I mean, it's a small little city, so to speak, where you're biking everywhere and whatever, and then coming to the small city in the U.S. where walking is nearly impossible, right? You have to drive everywhere. I mean, when you want to leave campus, and it's kind of dangerous just to get the street out, right?
Sure. Okay.
But I mean, it was a nice place. But yeah.
And how long did you spend in Tennessee?
5.5 years. Okay. And then I also went to Japan as an exchange student from my American university.
Really? Oh my gosh. Okay.
So
was kind of traveling to Tennessee and then to Japan, was that kind of the gateway that brought you here, maybe, you think?
Well, then I met a girl from Tennessee.
From Tennessee? Okay.
No, sorry. So I'm from Taiwan in Tennessee.
Okay. Oh.
And, that's how I ended up
Tennessee.
here.
That sounds like a good blog name. Yeah.
So that's how I ended up here.
Okay.
Right?
Okay. I think, beautiful.
And, so, I mean, I started 2 companies in the U.S.
Jeez, okay. I love that.
Then I came to Taiwan, and I usually say that about the 3rd week in Taiwan, we started working on the first Taiwan business.
Really?
I wanted to start a
what age were
coin
you
laundry.
Here? Okay.
Well, so this was 2000, so I guess I was 27 when I came here, and I wanted to start a coin laundry.
Wow. Okay. Were there other ones at the time? What brought that on idea? Okay.
There were 3 in Taipei, New Taipei city at the time. Okay. And coming from the U.S., where as a student in the U.S., you're hunting quarters all the time.
Yeah.
You need to do the laundry.
Stack of quarters.
Right.
Yeah.
So coming to Taiwan and seeing that there were only 3, but felt like there would be a need for that.
Yeah.
So we spent a lot of time, did the research, became a member of the American Coin Laundry Association.
Wow. Well, that's pretty amazing. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then eventually we didn't do that one because we needed like $3 million to start. And at the time there wasn't there were no.
It wasn't you to tell people how to do things,
No, I mean, it never occurred to me that there were no community, there was no startup community, there wasn't, and I had no idea that there could be that there could be a community that I could go to for advice or whatever. So we just kind of gave up on that idea and started something else instead.
Okay, looking back on it, do you think? It was a good lucky break that you didn't do it, or you think you would have?
I think it would have been absolutely cool to be the coin laundry king of Taiwan.
That's pretty cool. Yeah, that's a pretty. A cool thing about that is, I don't know that business well, but you rent the place. It's kind of like the claw machines, right? You set up, and people are just pumping in money, and you might need one staff, I guess, or you need a 24-hour sort of deal.
Yeah, you need one person that go around and cleaning and maintaining and whatever, and that person, of course, should be a bit of jack of all trades or whatever, but it can be a very profitable business. Right?
I actually have a friend who does he runs gyms, like 24-hour fitness things, and he's actually it's not the same, but it's similar. It's 24 hours. You have your swipe card, and I believe the machines, I don't know if it's tokens or if it's like 10 NT whatever coins. But he said, you just you need somebody there, but not really, and it's 24 hours a day, and It's pretty cool. He's actually, I think he's moving back. So he was chatting with me about that the other day, and I think he's looking at selling it. Yeah, so it's pretty cool, man. I think it's a similar concept, but that's really cool, man.
It is good. So we didn't do that one, and I do think it's a little bit the one that got away. Because,
okay, sure.
I mean, now there are hundreds of them.
Yeah,
in
they're
Taiwan,
everywhere, right? Yeah. And it doesn't fall into the trap of like, sorry, we're understaffed, we can't open today, type deal.
Right.
Yes. Yeah.
I mean,
that's a tough one.
I mean, just that it's a low manpower type of thing is a beautiful thing in itself. That's amazing, right?
Yeah, for sure. And I mean, the one staff or the two staff that you had, you could take care of them,
right.
And then you're good. You're good to go, right? I think ideally, right? That's great.
So yeah, we did that. We tried that. Did all the research.
Okay.
Actually, there was one up here somewhere, not too far away from here. There was one way back then, and I remember.
Really? Okay.
We sat in a coffee shop across the street from this place.
Okay.
And
I
every time
think of two here right now. Yeah.
And every time that somebody came in and put some laundry in, one of us would hop over and like kind of stare at them to see right down that did they buy laundry detergent as well?
Yes.
Did they do we just I bet you there are people that have memories of some perv foreign guy who was looking at their laundry going into the machine. Right?
That's okay. We all have that. We're all the perv foreigners.
Yeah.
It's my first time I dated a girl here. We went to a movie, whatever, and I was a long time ago. So I was walking her home, and her family was kind of living on they had like a car shop, so they had kind of not the whole building, but they lived upstairs, and the car shop was on the first floor, like the auto shop. And they were out there barbecuing and drinking beer, and I dropped her off, and I'm like, we kind of just met. So I'm like, I don't want to meet the parents, right? And so she's like, come on in, and the dad's like, hey, how you doing? I had zero Chinese, and they had zero English, and this was a long time ago. And so she introduced me to the dad, and I'm like, okay, everybody's cool. And the mom comes, she eyeballs me, and she's like, Xiaoxin. Yeah, that's what she says to her daughter. I didn't know what it meant, right? But I was just like, what does it mean? And she's like, oh, no, nothing. And I'm like, I just kept saying Xiaoxin, Xiaoxin, Xiaoxin in my head. And then the next day when I went to work, I asked the first person, like, what's Xiaoxin? And they're like, oh, it means be careful. And I'm like, okay. So that's pretty funny, right?
Yeah.
So all this background with radio, where's your podcast, man? You got. I bet you'd kill it with a podcast. I know you're super busy, but
I have thought about it.
Yeah, I bet.
Not lately, but back when. And
would you ever be into it to doing one?
Yeah, but I can understand you're putting in a lot of hard work.
It is a lot of hard work.
Hard work it is to get it.
You know how much it is. Yeah. It's not just standing there with your phone and blabbing, right?
You need to do it well, and you need to do the planning, and you need to, whatever. It's a lot of work.
Yeah, it is for sure. It is for sure. Yeah.
So I've been wary of taking on something like that where you end up with, the pressure of producing, right?
Sure. Oh my gosh. Yeah, we were just talking off camera of we had a GoPro at the beginning, and the quality was really good. It was like 4K and stuff. But sometimes it would just turn off.
Right.
And sometimes you'd leave it plugged, and it was great for an hour, 2 hours, no problem. And sometimes you'd leave it plugged, and in 35 minutes it just goes beep, 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 and it would just shut off, and I'd kind of glance up at the screen, and it's all black, and I'm like, oh my gosh, yeah.
Right.
It's stressful sometimes, for sure, yeah.
So, no, it would be fun, but...
Well, you've got so much on your plate already.
I tend to do a lot of things. I mean, I'm one of the few that our business is doing very well this year.
Great. Okay, that's great. That's great news.
That's fantastic, but also a lot of work.
No, for sure. Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, for us too. Usually, summertime is very slow in Tianmu because all the expats leave. All the Taiwanese in this area, they go to Europe or they go to the U.S. or they leave.
Right.
So this area is just like a ghost town. Sales are usually down in summer, and it's normal. I mean, talk to everybody here, and it's the same. But this summer was great, and so to be honest, at the beginning of the year, just before Chinese New Year, we closed the other shop because, I mean, again, the staffing issue was tough. We were juggling both places, and we were closing this one once a week, the other one twice a week. It was getting to the point where we were going to have to close this one twice a week. And I thought, let's just have one open.
Right.
7 days a week.
Right.
Bring the people over, see how it goes. So we kind of, sold, the ding run sort of deal. We gave it to an Italian friend of mine. He's doing really well over there. And we did this one 7 days a week. And it's been fantastic, man. It's been great. Stress level is way lower. And numbers are pretty good,
Right.
And, I feel a little bit guilty saying it because I have friends with restaurants and hotel, all that stuff.
Right.
And it's been hit really hard.
Right.
But I was doing well. I mean, it's going great. I mean, we're very happy, fortunate as well. I have friends with restaurants in the States that are just like, wow, that is, it's kind of depressing even chatting about that stuff with them, because I guess no amount of marketing can bring someone in if it's on lockdown or whatever, right? It's tough. You can't do anything.
So I mean, there's plenty of businesses that are doing really badly. So, but for us, I mean, we're a marketing company, and it seems like a lot of the international companies that we work with, maybe they transferring marketing money into Taiwan, right? Maybe they can't do business in other countries, but here in Taiwan they can. So I mean, that seems to be perhaps the trend.
I think Taiwan's overall has done well, right?
Sure.
Because I mean, no lockdown, right?
Right.
A lot of people coming back, and a lot of cool things are happening. The Dragon's Chamber. I have a whole list of things to ask you, but let's talk about the Dragon's Chamber, right? The Dragon's Chamber is your project. You were one of the founders, co-founders. Right?
Yeah. So let's
talk about the Dragon's Chamber. Yeah.
John and Carrie Kallenberger from the Canadian Chamber came to me.
Sure.
I guess it's 5 years now. 5 years ago, and they said, "Hey, we've been watching this TV show called Shark Tank or Dragon's Den, right?
Yeah.
And they said we should do something like that here in Taiwan."
Okay. What was your first thought when they said that?
Said, darn it, I've been thinking about this for a while.
Okay, great. Okay, good. Okay.
So,
beautiful. I mean,
basically the TV show, right, is a show where entrepreneurs get up in front of 4 or 5 investors and pitch their ideas, right?
I love watching those shows.
Yeah. And I mean, it's been done in just about every country in the world except for Taiwan.
Okay.
Right?
Perfect,
I mean, I have seen, because I like the format, and I've been watching, the show from Canada, from Ireland, from Sweden, everywhere, right?
Wow.
But Taiwan hasn't had one, darn it.
Okay.
So when they came to me and they said, "Hey, we should do something like this," and I say, "Yeah, absolutely, let's do it." And of course, doing a show is tough, right? At the time, we didn't think about, well, what if we do like a podcast kind of deal? Maybe that could be working.
Yeah,
but
for sure. Check it out. Yeah.
But we decided to do it as first like a one-time show, live event.
Yeah.
And then, we reached out to Meet Taipei. I don't know if you're familiar with Meet Taipei.
I've heard of it. I've seen a lot of events that they're putting on, but I haven't had a chance to attend any.
Right. So Meet Taipei they call it the Startup Festival.
Okay.
It's like a huge trade show specifically for startups.
Oh, I love that. Okay.
So last year they had like 430 something companies that were showing off. I mean, having small booths.
I think I went. Yeah, I think I went to check that. Is it in Maji Square?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Exactly.
Okay. Yeah.
And then they have. I think last year again it was like 30,000 people that come through in a 3-day period. Anyway, so we reached out to them and asked them would they be willing to host us, like to have because they have like 3 or 4 scenes where they have events going on throughout this 3-4 day event.
Okay.
And they were very gracious to offer us, stage time, right? So that's where we've been now for the last 4 years. This year will be the 5th.
So Meet Taipei has been going on for at least 4 or 5 years.
I think it's this year maybe the 6th or 7th time.
Okay.
Right?
Okay.
And for us this year will be the 5th time that we are on there.
Beautiful.
So I mean, for me that's perfect because. Okay,
those are the right people you want around as well, yeah?
Yeah, I mean, the purpose of Dragon's Chamber really is to offer foreign entrepreneurs in Taiwan a place to show off what we are doing, right?
Okay, sure.
To give a platform for foreigners to show off what we're doing, hopefully get some exposure, maybe gain the attention of an investor.
Yes.
Win a little bit of prizes, but that's really not the key point.
Okay, sure. Exposure and some consulting or something.
Yeah, and getting feedback, right? Because we have a pretty lengthy auditioning process.
Okay.
So
that's kind of the finals type deal. Like the equivalent of the final is what you guys showcase at the meet.
At the Meet Taipei, exactly.
Okay.
So coming up right now, we have next week on the September 14th is a deadline for teams to apply to be.
If people want to apply, we've actually put a link in the description for the video. If you guys want to apply, if you're a foreign entrepreneur and you want to apply to check out the Dragon's Chamber, I recommend you do it. Got nothing to lose, right?
No, absolutely.
So click the link and go for it. Yeah.
Right. So please do that before September 14th.
September 14th. That's why I wanted to get Elias in here before that, so that you could still apply. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Okay.
So it's a very simple application form. You fill that out. We'll look at it. Assuming that it doesn't look completely crazy, we will invite people in for a half an hour. They basically get, presenting the company like a 7-minute pitch, and then we spend, the rest of the period giving feedback, asking questions. Basically, we're trying to see. Many of the finalists have had terrible presentations the first time they do it.
Sure.
But we try to see past that. We try to,
It's a tough. I think it's a skill in itself to present, to pitch
absolutely
something, right?
Right.
So, like, I have had this for 14 years or so, and I probably would be like, what do I pitch? I could understand it for sure. Yeah.
Absolutely. So there's been some of the teams in years past that have really come in. They are stuttering. They are they have like note cards. They are really not prepared. But usually we then start asking the questions.
Okay.
And we try to
Is
we
it
try
easier
to
for them when you ask?
Yeah. Often it is.
Sure, I would
right?
imagine so. Yeah.
Because first people are like nervous just giving a presentation.
Sure, of course.
Lots of people are nervous about that.
A lot.
But then we start asking the questions, and we try to just probe. Do they know their business they're in?
Yeah.
Right.
Okay.
And if they are very clear about the business they are in, they know the numbers, they know all of that stuff. Well, then we try to see if we can coach them through, making the presentation better.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, sure, of course. Yeah.
Because we don't want.
Yeah. The point is, these guys they're pitching their business. You're trying to help. You're not trying to be like, oh my God, that was ridiculous. Get out of here. I understand. Okay, beautiful. I love that. Yeah.
So usually, if they pass the first, we invite them. Here's our feedback. This is our points. We would like you to maybe address this and this and this question. Maybe fix this and that.
Okay.
So if you're game, send us back the presentation. Maybe 5-10 days later or whatever.
Okay.
If they have improved, we invite them to come in and do a second pitch.
Okay.
And we go through that a few times.
Beautiful.
And then eventually we'll pick the 5 who will be invited to be, presenting on the big stage at Meet Taipei.
Is it also a 7-minute on the final? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, we did 10 minutes before, but it's a bit long. So now we settle on 7.
That's cool.
Yeah, and then you're in front of, at Meet Taipei, you're on a big stage, in front of maybe a couple of hundred people.
So how much stage time are you getting? Like an hour, 2 hours?
For the whole event?
Yeah, for your Meet Taipei, sort of the finals type deal.
I think it's about 3 hours in total.
Okay, very cool.
Right,
Nice.
Because we have the 5 teams that are presenting. Last year we also had some students from one of the international schools, and this year we're actually going to have students from 2 international high schools.
Oh, nice.
So we're trying to be, this is a community event, and we kind of want to, also. They have the teachers that are really pushing entrepreneurship education in high school. I'm all for that.
Yeah. Because they didn't when we grew up, right? Yeah.
None of that.
Yeah. No, that's great. Yeah.
My brother, who's 10 years younger than me, when he went to high school, they had started a program where in Swedish high schools they invited kids to do during 1 year, so 2 semesters, they got to start a business and actually run that with a consultant for 1 year and then close it down at the end.
Really?
And if they wanted to, if they thought that this was a viable business, they could literally the next day they could start it up again. But the class was to run it and close it down, the whole life cycle.
Wow.
And I am so jealous of that.
That's amazing.
You know?
That's an idea right there. That's a beautiful idea. Wow. Okay.
So, you know, my brother they invented a new type of like kitchen for like the when you go out and camping, you know, camping kitchen.
Like camping sort of
right.
kitchen. Okay.
And they actually had a meeting with like one of the biggest manufacturers in the world for those type of equipment, and we were talking about potential, you know, patent deals or whatever. I don't know. But I mean, as being a high school student and getting to be part of that kind of stuff.
Amazing. That's amazing. Let's jump on the next one. We'll keep talking. Yeah, let's run. I'll grab the top. So yeah, keep going. This is like a chipotle. It's a little bit spicier, but first round is pretty chill. Yeah.
Good.
Thank you. So obviously Europe, and I think especially the Swedes, are always renowned for that kind of thing, like the schooling system and stuff like that.
Yeah.
How do you think something like that being introduced here, where it's kind of like, no, I don't want to say the opposite, but it's like memorize, write this character 100 times, you know, like it's not the opposite, but very different.
Yeah.
How do you think about the reaction? How do you think the reaction would be for something like that here?
Well, I mean, you can see it starting out, like I said. I mean, so this teacher that we've been dealing with at this school, she has, you know, really, I think she's been running this program now for 3 or 4 years.
Here at an international school here.
Yeah.
Okay. Wow.
And at a Dominican school.
Okay.
And
nice.
you know, she seems to be doing very well with that, and has been invited to a lot of conferences to speak about, you know, how she's, you know, running this program, and the fact that these students are getting to come and pitch to me and people like me, which scares the heck out of them, but it also means that
I can imagine doing that in high school, how scary that would have been.
Like, and we don't treat them any different. We're giving them the same honest feedback.
Wow.
Because the funny part is that they are actually running this. I mean, they are not just
creating
a PowerPoint. They are running a business. They are actually, you know, charging money for stuff, right?
I love that. Yeah. Wow.
I mean, that's pretty cool. So, okay.
Maybe you can introduce me to that teacher. That sounds like a great story, man. Wow.
Absolutely.
Okay.
No, that's
Beautiful.
a good idea. She should definitely be on
here.
here.
I love that idea. Yeah.
So the question is, would it do well in you know, Taiwanese school?
Yeah.
Well, it's a tougher sell, but I do. Okay, I don't have kids, so I don't really know exactly. But
sure.
My feeling is that there is still a bit of a change going on. I think also when it comes to the school system here. I mean, I know some friends that own schools that are doing things a little bit different, and they get customers. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think, for sure. I can agree with that. I believe that there's I also have a lot of friends and customers that have schools, and I was just talking with one today. We were picking up our kids from local school, and we're just waiting, and he was telling me that their summer program, they added a yoga instructor come in and do some yoga with the kids, because you know, you can't just have a kid sitting at a desk all day. Right. I mean, and I said, well, how was that? And they said, it's fantastic. The kids love it. You know, they're relaxed a little bit. They're feeling good. He said it was fantastic. So
I mean, the first step is for the parents to be open for it, right?
Sure. Yeah, of course. Yeah.
And if the parents are open for it, and the ones that want, they maybe go and put their kids in, you know, after school programs that are a little bit more,
of course,
you know, wild or whatever, right? And then the next step would be the regular schools if they get to it.
Yeah, for sure. No, I think for sure the Bushiban and like the sort of the private schools and stuff. I think it would be not easy, but it's implementable right away. But a public school is going to be a little tougher. I think it's doable though. I think it's a fantastic idea.
I mean, we also have to keep in mind that 10 years ago, Taiwan didn't have a startup community at all.
Okay, true.
Right? I mean, it didn't. We had Taiwan had an SME culture, right? I mean, for entrepreneurship, but not the startup culture that.
Yeah.
And that's come a lot. I mean, if you look at, I mean, these days when we have so many incubators and accelerators and investment programs and Meet Taipei and all of that stuff. That did not exist 10 years ago, right? So I would imagine that, you know, the whole mentality of what entrepreneurship is or business is has started to change. More and more parents have maybe seen, you know, the concept of, you know, a Mark Zuckerberg starting something and becoming big. And
I also feel like, at least the younger generation here, it seems like a lot of them, they want to open a coffee shop, or they want to open like a drink store, or they want to open something. I mean, maybe they don't know how, they have no experience or whatever, but, you know, sometimes when you're interviewing people and sometimes you have staff and you talk to them, I always try to ask them what their goals are, what's the dream, like the ultimate dream, you know? And a lot of them, you know, they want a drink store or a coffee shop or something like that. Or I think the spirit is there. The spirit's there for sure. But I mean, obviously, some kind of bridge needs to be made from you know, the schools to that. Because, for example, when I grew up, I had no. I mean, I come from a really small town, and I mean, there was us, and I probably told this story a few times, but it was us and my cousins, and my cousins were all older than me. There was one high school. So the few elementaries and one high school. So we all kind of went through the same high school. And all of my older cousins, they were kind of like, I mean, nothing against, but they were kind of like, you know, like delinquent-ish, dropout-ish, you know. And so by the time I would get to that school, I mean, I was basically written off by every single teacher. They're like, oh, this guy. And right away from like grade 8, they're like, not in such, you know, not in these words, but basically they'd be like, you're a bit of a dummy, so you should get a trade. So that was basically the advice I got throughout my whole high school life. So, and it's funny. I mean, nothing against trades, but they were kind of like, this guy, you know, he sucks at school. He comes from a crap family. You know, he should lay bricks or something, you know. And it's like pipe fitter. They're like pipe fitter this and bricklayer that. And I have friends that do that, and there's nothing wrong with it. But it's that was my experience in high school, which is, I mean, it wasn't the greatest experience. I probably could count maybe 3 or 4 teachers that were fantastic, that I loved. And most, I mean, there's more than 4 teachers in your whole high school career, right? So it's, I had pretty, I think teachers are important. It makes a big difference, right?
No, for sure.
For sure.
Both my parents teachers.
Your parents? Oh, okay. That makes sense.
Actually, I remember sitting around the table with a bunch of entrepreneurs once, and somehow we just started sharing what our parents were doing. And a very large number of the entrepreneurs were saying that at least one of their parents were a teacher.
Okay.
And I wonder...
that's a pretty cool correlation. I like that.
Well, so I had a theory, whether it's correct or not. I had a theory that, you know, teachers get summers off. Which means they get to spend more time with their kids. And maybe that gives a certain level of I don't know, stability, or you know, you get to test things in a different way. I mean, that was just a thought I had.
No, that's I think the more you spend with your kids, a lot of things can be, I mean, not controlled, but you can kind of mold a little bit more, and you can kind of like encourage a little bit more. And
well, also just getting that feeling of security that you're having to spend time with your parents, I guess. Right.
I mean, we have a little girl. She's 8. She's in grade 3 now. But since she was born, I mean, we don't have any helpers or anything. So from like, you know, month 1 or month 2, she's basically been in the restaurant with us. And she went to, you know, like Daban, like, so she was like 5 to kindergarten. But before that, she was with us full time. And her social skills are like through the roof, right? Like, because she's always with a restaurant full of people. People come and say hi. They bring their kids. Everybody's just like, oh, hey, you know, kids come in. They're like, oh, is Aaliyah here? And yeah, okay, so table for 3. So she helped us a lot, a lot. Having a cute little girl here helps a lot. And she, her social skills are through the roof. And basically, I spend a lot of time with her. I make her think about everything, and she's great. Yeah,
Right.
I think spending a lot of time with the kids helps them a lot. Like
Yeah,
I
yeah.
know a lot of kids her age. I mean, they just go to bushiban all day, school and then bushiban, whatever. They all do piano and violin and like 50 instruments and like 3 sports and all that, and she's just like she does Brazilian jiu-jitsu. She likes it. We tried a couple other things. She doesn't like them, so we do the things she likes.
Yeah.
She's pretty happy, right? So I think, sure, her confidence is really good, and she's able to break things down, and it's pretty cool. I mean, I think, I agree with if you spend more time with the kids, you can they feel healthy, they feel secure.
Yeah,
So,
that was just a theory. I mean, I have no
agree.
statistics on that.
Yeah, sure.
That parents, teachers have entrepreneur children. That I don't know, but it was just an interesting. Just sitting with whatever 10 people around the table, and it's like,
All
6 of them are like,
okay.
at least one of my parents
That's
were
pretty
a
cool.
teacher.
I never thought about that. That's pretty cool. I
Yeah.
like that idea. Yeah, very cool. Very cool. Let's grab the next one and we'll keep rocking. Yeah.
Go ahead.
Yeah. All right. Reach over that.
So this one is lighter in color. So
this one's made with fresh cayenne. Cayenne peppers. So round 1 is pretty mellow. It's pretty chill. It's like a warm up. Round 2 is it's a little spicier. There was one sauce that I made. There's a hot sauce. The fresher it is, the hotter it is, and I made some yesterday because we ran out. So there's one I'm a little worried about.
So this is why the milk is.
That's why the milk's
what
here.
you're saying.
So save your milk. So
all right.
You got more if you need more, but yeah. So obviously we've got this lovely book here displayed, and how to start a business in Taiwan. I actually saw someone was looking for a used copy the other day, and then we had a whole big conversation on there, and hopefully they bought one.
I hope they found one.
Yeah, I hope they found one.
I mean, we've sold somewhere between 5,000 and 6,000 copies of this book in the 8 years since we came out with it.
Okay, I was gonna say 8 years. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So what spurred this? I mean, you wrote a book on how to start a business in Taiwan 8 years ago. So why? What's the story behind that?
Well, so here's the thing, right? When I started, like I said, I first tried to start something. Didn't do it. Didn't figure it out. I then did start a internet business. Ran it for a year and a half. Sold it. Got some money.
Okay.
Used that money to start Enspyre.
We'll chat about that one in a bit too, for sure.
And Enspyre, we started 2002. By 2005, after 3 years, we were like stable enough to where I felt like I can do something for somebody else. Like I could like do something community wise, right?
I love that. Yes, I love it, man.
So in 2005, we organized what I think was the very first event ever for foreign entrepreneurs specifically.
Okay.
And
Beautiful.
I had thought maybe we would have 20, 30 people show up.
Okay.
We had 127.
Wow. Oh my
127
gosh.
people
Talk about
showed up.
A need that needed to be filled.
Yeah, I mean, obviously
Okay.
there was, like you're saying.
Okay. Because it's hard for us because first, if we try to find any info, it's all in Chinese. You can't find anything if you use English. I mean, at that time there was probably no Google Translate, but even now, it's still not very. It's not that accurate when you use Google Translate, and it's sometimes things are just not there, right?
Yeah.
The info is just not there.
No, I mean back and so 2005 there were nothing. I mean, no community, no websites really, and whatever. So we had that event. So many people showed up.
That's incredible.
So we started doing more. So over the years, I mean, I've organized, I don't know, lots and lots and lots of events. Some of them under my own name.
Sure.
For a while, I was part of the European Chamber. We ran a SME center under the European Chamber, and so on.
I've been following you for a long time, so I remember seeing your posts, man.
So we've done a lot of those events, and then in 2010, maybe.
Okay.
I was on my way back home to Sweden, and I stopped by. Flew via Bangkok.
Okay.
And at the airport, the bookstore, they had a whole section how to start a business in Thailand, and it was like, you know,
Really? Okay.
some, you know, another guy had written a book about that, and
Okay.
they had a big display about that,
Beautiful.
and I thought, why do we not have
Why
one
don't
of these?
we have this? Yeah,
Right.
Yeah. Okay. Okay.
So you asked me earlier, what do I identify as? I think I identify myself as an entrepreneur.
Sure.
My own definition of an entrepreneur is somebody who acts on a problem or an opportunity, right?
Okay.
So if there is a
love
need
it.
for a book and no one else has written one,
okay.
I'll jump on
It's
that.
just like, okay, let's do
So,
it. Let's make a book.
I
Okay.
came back after the vacation,
Okay.
and I actually gathered a group of interns to help me do a bunch of the research.
Okay. Okay.
So we spent about a year just gathering information.
I was going to say that must be a lot of information that needs to be gathered because
Yeah.
it's also hard to find, right? Spotty kind of. Not so bad.
Yeah, it took a lot of time to gather it all, of course. But then I ended up spending a year after that kind of massaging the information, because
Okay.
the biggest problem, in my opinion, isn't necessarily that the information isn't there.
Okay.
Like the government, for example, if you go and look at the government website about how to start a business in Taiwan, they will give
It's
you a
there.
laundry list of, you need to bring these documents to this office, da da da.
Yeah. Okay.
But none of that is ever put into context with something else.
Understand.
Right?
Yeah.
So I spent a year going to lawyers, accountants, government offices, and I made sure that I did not put anything in that book that I didn't understand. You know what I mean? Like, if they say that there is
No
such a
fluff,
thing,
yeah.
you know, there's these 5 different types of, you know, companies that you can set up. Well, I want to understand, why are there 5 and what's the difference between them?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I mean, there were some types of companies that everybody says, well, I've never seen one of those. Like I've literally never helped anybody. I've never met anybody who's done one of these. Well, okay, fuck. Then I will
that's
just
how- yeah,
just
yeah.
ignore that one. No one is ever gonna do it.
I also found that with the government is it's tough because, like, for example, when I got married and I did my ARC, there was a lot of things I needed to get my ARC, my marriage ARC, and it was just like a stack of papers, stuff I had to get from Canada, and stamps and everything, stamp there, stamp here. So I went to the government building to get it done. Go in, they're like, they're like, okay, line up, show me your stuff. They're like, okay, they're like, oh, you don't need this, you don't need this, you don't need this, you don't need this. And I'm like, oh, but
Your website.
I was told this is what I need. And like, no. So I have 2 piles now.
No.
This pile you don't need, this pile you need. Okay. So go over there, pay, come back, give this pile. Don't bother with this pile. Okay. Go over, pay, wait in line again. Come to the front of the line. It's a different person.
Right.
What happens? You know what's going to happen. I give the little pile to the lady, and she's like, where's this? Where's this? Where's this? Where's this? Where's this? And I'm like, I put my 2 piles together, and she looked at me. She's like, why did you separate?
Are you hiding something?
What's going on here? And I'm like, she told me to.
Yeah.
I'm like, that girl's sitting over there. She told me I didn't need all this stuff. And I'm like, I just want to get it done. So I'm like, all right, it's my mistake. Here you go.
I'm all in.
I'm all here. Whatever you want, whatever you need.
Pick and choose.
I got everything here, so let's just, you can have it. If you don't need it, throw it away. As long as I gave it to you, it's all good.
Right.
They're like, okay. So eventually I got it, obviously, but it was a crazy experience where 2 completely different stories.
Right.
For me, yeah.
So for example, I heard quite a few stories, people who said, well, I hired a CPA to set up the company,
yeah.
and they set it up, it's all done, and then I'm like, so I can start working now. And the CPA would say, no,
Why would you need to?
you can't work. You don't have you don't have a work permit.
Or ARC or whatever.
Yes,
permit,
well,
yeah.
well, obviously I need a work permit. Well, you never told me that.
Yep.
Well,
yep.
can I apply for it now? No, because we set it up this way. If you wanted the
This
work
company
permit, you need to
cannot.
do this
Yeah,
way.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Right? And And okay, this is again, now we can find quite a few CPAs that they kind of specialize in talking to foreigners, but that wasn't the case again 10 years ago, right? So okay, I describe this book as it's not a book about how to start a successful company.
Okay.
It's a book about how to successfully start a company.
Okay. Beautiful.
Now the difference is, okay, I mean, obviously, when you're writing a book, just like when you're creating a show, I'm sure, you have to decide both what you are and what you're not.
Agree. Yeah, sure,
right?
sure, yeah.
So I decided, for example, that there are plenty of books that talk about how to pick the right business idea or how to make a pitch or how to go after it. There are other people who know that a billion times better than I do.
Understandable, yeah.
That's 300 something pages here, all about the boring stuff, the legal stuff, the necessary stuff that you need to know about starting a business exactly here.
Yeah, no, I think it's great because, like I said, it's not an easy thing to do. Like, so my wife, when we started, obviously we're married, and so I remember we started in Enspye. So we just had a stand for the first year. Everybody's like, you don't need anything,
right?
Just sell on the street. You rent from this guy, you sell. I'm like, okay. So we did that, no problem. A year goes by. The rent was really high on the night market, really high. So we did about one ping on Enspye Old Street.
Right.
That's $33,000 a month for just our one little ping. No kitchen, no nothing. And we could leave our stand there. So from there, one street over, kind of up the road, not a great location. We were able to get the whole building, a first floor restaurant, a second floor apartment, and then a rooftop, a three-story sort of building for $36,000.
Wow!
Right, so it was less because we didn't have house rent, right? So we moved over, we did that, and there's a government office for business or whatever in Enspye. And I'm like, okay, let's go. Now we're actually going to be a restaurant, so let's go and get the license.
Right.
So it literally is a 10-minute walk from the place. We walk down, we go in. This is Enspye. This was 14, 15 years ago. So we go down, go in there. The guy's like, yeah, cool, okay, we'll sit down. And he's like, oh, what kind of business? Oh, we're going to have a restaurant. Okay, cool. And we started to chat. And he's like, okay. And when we got to address, he's like, where's the address? And we're like, oh, it's just up here. And we gave him the address. And he's like, in Enspye? And we're like, yeah, just up here. We can walk in 10 minutes. And he takes the paper and he's just like, rips it up, throws it down. He's like, no, you don't need anything, man. Don't worry about it. And I'm like, what? This is in the government office. The government guy is ripping the paper up. The application, he's like, you don't need anything. It's Enspye. Don't worry about it. And I'm like, but I want one because as soon as they start cracking down, they're coming to me first, And he's just like, it's Enspye, don't worry about it. So he wouldn't give it to us. And we're like, okay. Which was weird. That was, I don't know if that's still the case now. Maybe in a small town, but I don't know. It was crazy. I was blown away. I was like, what? Really?
I've been in quite a few, several at least, meetings with government people where they're like laughing at me for being, so eager to follow the law.
Yeah,
like,
right. That's crazy.
You're such a goody two shoes. You just want to do everything by the law. Ha ha ha.
Government guys.
Yes.
That's crazy. I love that. That's crazy. That's crazy though. Yeah.
And but I'm like you. I'm just saying. I've heard too many stories of people. Once you step on the wrong toes, suddenly there's the fire department and the labor bureau.
I've gone through all of that. I've gone through all of that, man. Like for me too. I think. I've also heard so many stories, and we had to actually go through a CPA to get the first business license because the actual government guy's like, no, you don't need it. Oh, I was like, okay, wow, cool,
interesting.
It was. Again, this was a while ago, but he was just kind of like, I actually have one more story. This actual location, I don't know who it was, some competitor or something. Somebody reported us as hiring illegal Filipinos in the kitchen, which we didn't, and so we got raided. And 2 or 3 people in the front door, 2 or 3 in the back door, and they just like bum rushed the restaurant. Yeah. And I'm like, okay, what's going on here? And they're like, oh, we got reported this, blah blah blah. They checked everybody in there. It was all Taiwanese. I think we might have had one non-Taiwanese, but everything was legal. And then they're just kind of like, we wasted our time type deal. And I'm like, they're like, well, what about you? And I'm like, well, what about me? And they're like, well, what do you have? And you're gonna love this. I'm like, oh, I have an APRC. And they're like, ARC? I'm like, no, APRC. And they're just like, what's an APRC? That's what they said. They're asking to the other guy, what's an AP? I explained, what's the APRC? And I'm like, no, I that's because I've been here for a long time and I went through all these processes and now we're good. And then I was like, at the end, I was like, I know when you have the marriage one, you don't need the open work permit, but with the APRC, do I need that? And they're just like, yes, you do. And I'm like, okay. I was like, all right. So I don't know. I got it anyway. It's like 100 NT in like half an hour or whatever. But I mean, I was like, okay. But it was crazy. They blew me away because it was like, what's an APRC? And
it's like when you go to the bank and you hand over your APRC and they're like, where's the expiration date?
Yes. Oh my God. Or the airport.
Yeah.
The airport. They're like, what? Where's the expiration date? And I'm just like, what? It's an APRC. I can understand if it's somewhere else, but like here, you're like, what are we doing? Yeah. Then there's like, someone was asking me questions about like a gold card and I don't even know what that is. I'm like, I don't know, man. I got an APRC, so I have no clue about the other stuff. Yeah. I don't know about that other stuff. So it's crazy stuff, man. That's crazy.
So we came out with this book in 2012.
Sure, yeah.
And like I said, we've sold quite a few copies, and it's fantastic to meet people that have bought the book and then started something. You know what I mean?
You should put like an event together for the book every year,
right?
For people that I'm not telling you what to do, but people that bought the book, did something, share the story, and then sell more books.
Yeah.
Like that'd be good because I would have loved to have something like this when I started because, like I said, it's so hard, and I got to push my wife to find the stuff because there's no English, and it's crazy. Yeah.
I mean, that's the other big mistake. Okay, so for example, when I see this all the time, people who start something. And very often we have the foreigner together with, let's say, their Taiwanese spouse, right?
Husband, yeah.
And they just say, well, I don't understand Chinese very well, so I'm just gonna let my Taiwanese spouse do this.
Yeah.
Well,
that's tough.
I don't. That's not the right way to do it.
Oh, it's definitely not. I mean, for sure.
Stuff happens.
Yeah, of course. Oh, yes, I agree.
What happens if your spouse passes away?
I've actually heard stories about that.
It happens.
Yeah.
And, suddenly you're standing there not knowing, much about your own business, right?
Yeah, no, for sure. Yeah. Or worse yet, I've heard that, I've heard a story where, I don't know if they had a business, but they're a couple. The guy's like, I don't need the APRC. Wife passed away. And then he gets that pink slip in the mail that's like, get out.
Yeah, exactly.
It's crazy.
So you should
yeah.
definitely plan for that. And I mean, it's easy enough for a foreigner to be a business owner in Taiwan. Now, if you choose to make your spouse the Taiwanese person, the Futsuren, for example, right?
Yeah.
I totally buy that because, banks are, gonna freak out less and all of that stuff.
Sure.
But you can still, for sure, be the owner or, half owner
like
or whatever,
thing,
right?
Yeah.
So do that. Don't abdicate it all, right? Now,
and it's a lot of pressure too, because she didn't grow up, with all the laws, and she also can't find the information. And
right.
Like, hey, it's all Chinese stuff, so yeah.
And I mean, that's the thing, right? It's not like.
Yeah.
It's not like just because you're Taiwanese, you're somehow born with knowing what the Taiwanese labor laws are or corporate law. No.
And they change so much. Yeah.
Right. I mean, you still need to educate yourself. And
of course,
so that's why I'm like, and so even though I would say my advice to everybody would be buy the book.
Yeah.
Read the parts that are pertinent to you at that time, right? And then still go and find an accountant. To set up the business for you.
Sure.
I mean, these days it's so cheap to have a professional to do it, right? Lowest price I've ever run into is one person who set up a company for 18,000 NT.
Yeah, wow. Okay.
Now,
yeah.
I would
That's crazy.
Right. I mean, that's a small business with,
Sure.
very low paid-in capital or whatever. But do that.
Yeah,
and
that's the way to do it,
hire them, do it. But you read the book first, you educate yourself so you can ask them the right questions. I mean, for example, there's a fairly common habit in Taiwan to inflate your paid-in capital, right? You're borrowing money from somebody.
Sure, okay, yeah.
You put it in a bank, and if it's been there for a couple of weeks, the bank will issue a piece of paper saying, yeah, you do have 3 million or 40 million or whatever in the bank.
Sure.
So now you take that to government, and they will register your business at that level.
Yep, okay.
Well, most people don't know that if you're a futuran and that's happening, you could go to prison for up to 3 years.
Oh, really?
It's
Wow,
a completely common habit, and
Jeez, okay,
accountants in Taiwan quite often would even offer to lend you the money.
Oh my gosh.
Right?
Okay,
Yeah, we'll lend you the money. I don't know how it is now, but 10 years ago there was even a going rate for it, 7,000 per million per week.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Right?
Wow.
So the CPA would set up the bank account in your name, but not give you the bank book, so you can't withdraw it. So that way they feel like secure. The money goes in.
Okay.
The paper gets issued.
It's just like one of the lists of services. Oh, you need. I got it.
Absolutely.
It's gonna cost you $7.
Yeah.
For 1 million. Oh
Yeah.
my gosh. Okay.
Okay.
A week. Wow.
So this is common practice, right?
Holy, wow. Okay,
But
okay.
it's completely illegal.
Okay.
Fine. If you're starting a business by yourself,
Yeah.
and you feel the need to inflate your business, I mean the capital, but you could do that, and maybe it's okay. It's illegal, but maybe you'll do it. I don't know what. I'm not going to ask a question.
Yeah.
But you should be aware of
The penalties, if possible.
the possibilities of what's happening, right?
Jeez, that's crazy.
You know what I mean?
Okay. Wow. Yeah. Yeah.
So-
What's the benefit of saying, like, I know there's a few different levels of, you put the like $500,000 or something.
I mean,
What's
first
the
of all,
benefit of the 3 million? Is there? I mean, if everybody wants that, there must be some kind of a benefit.
Well, I mean,
Or is
first
not
of all,
really?
it's just maybe to look better, right?
Okay,
If you want to, somebody else will take a look at your business
I
and
wanna
they
open a
say, well, you're
business,
3
you
million,
50,000,
as
yeah.
opposed to, 50,000. They might say, well, how can I, extend any credit to you or whatever. I mean, that's one thing.
That's one. Okay.
Another one would be, for visa issues. If you want to hire another foreigner,
Foreigner.
you
That's
might need a
right.
$5 million paid in capital that first year, right?
Okay. Yeah.
That's another reason why you would do it.
Okay.
Or for that matter, if you're just
If
starting
you
by
are a
yourself
foreigner,
and you
okay,
need that $500,000 and you don't even have that,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Like you
Well,
might
if you
want.
are a foreigner, you need to ARC yourself.
Yeah, that's what I
possibly,
mean. Like you want to, so you need
Yeah,
$500,000
you need
to,
that,
as a foreigner, just start by yourself and get an ARC as the boss of that company. You need $500,000.
$500,000. Okay.
If you don't have that, you might be tempted to borrow the money, right?
Okay. Yeah.
But that rule is obviously there so that, let's say you and I start a business together.
Yeah.
And you're putting in a bunch of money because that's what you're supposed to, and I'm just borrowing mine, and the day after we started, that money is just gone. I'm
Yeah.
taking your money and I'm running.
Okay. Yeah.
Right?
Jeez. Okay. Yeah. Wow.
Anyway,
That's
I'm just
crazy,
saying it's
Yeah,
one of
sure,
those
yeah.
examples of things that you might get advised about, and if you're not
don't really
educating
know,
yourself, you don't know.
That's crazy. I can't believe that. Wow.
So, yeah.
Let's grab this one, and then I'll
Now, first, before I say that, this one wasn't that hot in my
Wasn't that hot?
opinion.
Yeah. Okay.
right?
It was less hot than the other two, maybe.
For some reason, I felt this one was a little bit
Okay,
spicier.
Sometimes they're fresh, right?
Yeah,
So
it's good.
Sometimes they sit.
Okay, you have to grab this one.
There you
They
go.
are
Okay, there you
connected.
go.
Yeah.
There you go. So this one is a Korean one. It's a Korean sauce. Yeah.
Okay.
It's one of our only like fusion-y ones. So yeah, it's pretty popular. We actually have a group of Koreans that come in and they have wings and beer. And the first time they came, I was like, oh no. They ordered Korean wings. I was like, oh. And they liked it. So hopefully, I don't know about authentic, but I think it's pretty good.
Well, this is very good.
Thank you.
I mean, when you asked me if I like spicy food, I thought you were gonna be really challenging me to where I'm sitting here sweating.
That's in round 2, man. Don't worry. We got that.
No, it's coming.
It's coming a little bit later, yeah.
I should have spoken.
Lily. Round 2 is okay, yeah? Yeah, so Yeah, what do you think about doing like an event, maybe like a yearly event, and maybe you can have some of the people that read your book, started a business with your advice, and give it like a little 5-10 minute talk. That'd be pretty cool.
I think that was pretty cool.
That'd be really cool, yeah.
That's a good idea.
I bet you it would sell a lot more books as well. Yeah. That's pretty amazing, yeah. Since then, there are no, I mean, it's been 8 years. There are no other books like that.
There is one coming. There is one coming right now.
Okay.
Which is totally cool. I mean, that's great that there is more information out there.
Okay.
I don't know exactly like the angle of that book.
Okay.
If it is like,
keep going. Yeah.
You know, is it exactly like ours with all the rules and regulations, or is there something else? But I'm looking forward to see it.
Okay, that's cool. Yeah. Sometimes more things actually helps. It brings more eyes to what you're doing, right?
Yeah. So I mean, I've been thinking for years, of course. You know, if I want to do an update.
That was one of my questions. I mean, is there? I saw on your website, right? There's something where you can get, like, first of all, if you want to find this book, there's also the description and link to get this book, right? They order directly from your website, right?
Yeah, that's the easiest.
Yeah, that's the easiest way.
There's a few bookstores that carry it.
Okay.
Which I find to be, really interesting. That.
Okay. And how does it move in a bookstore? Out of curiosity, does pretty well.
Quite well.
Okay.
I mean, this is just a regular bookstore, and they carry it and they keep on ordering,
Nice.
5-10 every couple of months, maybe.
That's pretty cool. I love that. That's really cool. But I mean, like, on your website, it was saying updates. There's like some downloadable updates.
So because
obviously there cannot be the same rules 8 years ago till now, right? I know the labor law changes and changes and changes.
So we've released a few like updates that we can email out.
Okay.
To people. We've put like inserts in the book that people are buying now, so they can download.
Okay.
Those are not completely up to date either.
Okay, well,
you're absolutely
changes so often.
Yeah,
crazy, right?
But if you think about the big things have changed, the really big things have changed is, for example, the entrepreneur visa that exists now.
Sure, yeah,
that didn't exist, 8 years ago.
That's a cool one. I like that.
Right.
One. Yeah.
Then I guess from your point of view, for example, the labor laws about the the number of hours that you can work
it used to be the Iru E show, whatever, that was new, and we're cool because we give people the 2 days off anyways, but I think it's good. Sorry, I don't want to cut you off, but I think it's good, and we're happy to we always try to take care of our people,
right?
But it also brings a lot of entitlement, which is tough because our guys have been with us for a long time, and we're doing everything that we can. We give bonuses if it's busy. A couple of our guys, they want to learn Chinese. Let's go. Let's register you in Chinese school. We'll take care of it. But the newer ones, where they're just used to everybody just give them whatever they want, they don't. Benefits are just like ink either. I deserve it.
Right.
And it's like late. It's a tough one. So I agree that. Sure, I mean, it's definitely better, and I'm all about taking care of the people and stuff, for sure. But I also think it's tough when there is an element of some people getting spoiled, and it's like, guys, like, we are following everything.
Right.
I mean, I'm sure not everybody is, and I'm sure, but if someone has a problem, I'll be like, what's up? We go to a coffee shop, we sit down, what's going on? Well, I need more money because whatever, right? Whatever it is, okay. Let's figure it out. No problem. If they're a great guy, sure, I'm happy to do it.
Right.
If we can financially, we can. No problem. But it's always like, I deserve this. A certain group will be like, I deserve this. I deserve this. I deserve this. The law says this, and the law says this, and the law says this. And if you don't, I'm reporting you to the Labor Bureau.
Yeah. And
it's like, Jesus, man, what are we doing here? It's crazy. So it's like a double-edged sword, right? I've had this. It's rough. Yeah.
But it hurts the most when that you are already like at the legal limit or beyond, and it's just some specific point that is being argued, right?
Yeah, and it's like, guys, come on, man. I mean, you can't be 2 hours late when you're opening the kitchen,
right?
You know what I mean? You're like, come on, man. Yeah, so it's crazy, yeah. So, but I cut you off, man. But I just wanted to get that point in there because
Right.
I agree that the laws have been improved for the staff, right? For sure.
Right. So what I'm saying is that there's definitely been, there's been a few big changes, and then of course, if you go in here and you look at, let's say, just how much money does it cost? Do you have to pay for labor insurance and stuff
Sure.
like that? Of
Okay,
course,
yeah,
all of
yeah.
those little numbers have changed, but
Sure.
the principles are still valid.
Okay,
You know what I mean?
Good, yeah.
So you get an idea, but like for example, I've had employees that maybe have never worked for somebody else before,
Yeah.
and they come in and we have agreed on, okay, so you get paid, but let's say 30,
Yeah.
and then they get their first paycheck. And it's whatever 28,500. It's like,
Of
where's the rest of it?
course.
Well, that's labor and health insurance
Tax
and whatnot.
and
it's like
6%,
yeah,
whatever,
that's
right?
tax. It's like, well, you're stealing my money. It's like
Yeah,
no,
yes,
no,
yes.
that's not how it works.
That's tough. Yeah,
you go and take it up with Taiwan, not with me, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. No, I agree. Yeah, like the taxes and the Lao Bao, Jian Bao, all that stuff. It's like we got to pay that stuff. So,
Right.
Yeah, it's like 30. Like, I remember when I was a kid. I can't remember my first job. I was working at like a warehouse stacking diapers, and I can't remember what it was an hour. It was pretty low, but I remember adding it all up, and I'm like, okay, after these 2 weeks, I'm getting $500 or whatever it was. And then I'm like, okay, and I'm thinking, what am I gonna buy with $500? So I'm all excited. I'm gonna buy this and a new video game and whatever. Then you get it in there, and it's just like 500, and then it's just like take home, 322 or something
Right.
like that, right? Rita A2. Yeah, so I was disappointed, but I didn't go in there and say, "How dare you?
Yeah,
You're robbing
yeah.
me." I would never say that to the boss. It's
Right.
like, okay, well, and well, this is normal. You're paying taxes, right?
Right.
Yeah, I understand exactly what you're saying.
But that's exactly where
Yeah.
it's again, as the boss, even though hopefully you have a bookkeeper that maybe deals with that kind of stuff.
Of course,
But
yeah.
first of all, when you hire that first employee, you probably don't have a bookkeeper, right?
No, you definitely don't.
Like
You definitely
I
don't.
think we had 4 or 5 employees
Yeah.
before we hired a bookkeeper, which
yeah,
by
of course,
itself
of course.
is insane. The fact that that we end up having to increase our
Yeah.
our payroll with
Yeah.
25%.
Yeah, exactly.
Right?
Yeah,
Just to
sure.
be able to handle like that kind of stuff, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and it's necessary for sure. Yeah, and when it's just one, it's kind of like, I've gone through the whole cycle. We were actually talking about it earlier. You said that you're up to like 50-ish, 50 something.
Yeah, we hit 53 in June,
Jeez. Wow.
and I find it sits on your tongue